Just that. 1765, when we had the Stamp Act in America, now that's an economic thing.
Yeah.
America sent 2 people to Great Britain to argue against the Stamp Act. One was Ben Franklin, one was George Whitefield.
No kidding.
What's he doing in Parliament? What's he doing in politics? What's he doing with taxation issues? Because revival covers all aspects of life. It's not just spiritual stuff. It affects the way you live, the way you think, the way you act. That's characteristics.
So everybody's praying for revival, but now you're talking hard work.
Hard work.
You're talking it's going to take a long time.
A lot of opposition.
A lot of opposition.
It'll last decades. It's not fast. And the other thing that's really significant is it's always transgenerational. There's a revival recorded back in Judges 13 where God's people were under the oppression of the Philistines, and that they prayed and prayed, God, deliver us from the Philistines. We need a revival. God answered the revival. Verse 5 of chapter 13, God so answered the revival, He sent an angel to earth to tell people, I've heard your prayers, I've answered. You're going to have a revival. The way He did it was the angel went to Manoah and said, Manoah, God's heard the prayers of His people. He's going to deliver you. You're going to be free people. You're going to have a revival. Here's how it works. Your wife's going to get pregnant, and when that kid grows up, he's going to be the national deliverer. Time out. It's going to take 20 years for that kid to grow up. I thought you said you answered our prayers. God often answers the prayers for revival by sending a new generation that does it differently. Great example. Back here, Samuel Davies, he's considered the greatest pulpit preacher in the Great Awakening. He had a little kid running around with him when he was doing all this preaching. And as a matter of fact, Samuel Cooper, another great preacher in the Great Awakening, had a kid running around with him all the time. And Gilbert Tennant, another preacher in the Great, had a kid running around with him. And it's interesting. You know who the kid was running around with Samuel Davies? Little guy named Patrick Henry.
No kidding.
I wonder where he learned to be such a good speaker. He heard the greatest pulpit orator in American history preach and preach and preach.
And then he became the
greatest
greatest
And then he became the greatest orator.
Oh, wow.
And you have a little kid running around with Sam. Oh, it's John Quincy Adams. That's who it is.
Wow.
And this guy named Elias Boudinot, the president of Congress who signed the peace treaty in the Revolution. Oh, you mean he was baptized by George Whitefield in the Great Awakening?
Wow.
And Benjamin Rush, considered one of the 3 most notable founding fathers, he ran around with this preacher named Gilbert Tennant and William Tennant. See, what happens is you have a new generation. Now, I think we're there now.